which is where we come to this Korean controversy, kind of similar to the one we discussed a few years ago with the superconductor. And so here we have a new unusual study from South Korea, where a team whose paper has been published in the prestigious journal Cell have now claimed to have created a magnetically controlled switch that could turn on specific genes inside a living mouse. In other words, just like the announcement of the superconductor a few years back, here we had a very similar shock because this, if true, would be absolutely mind-blowing. Here the claim was that they could physically activate or deactivate gene expression by just using electromagnetic fields. Or just to give you a kind of a visual explanation, imagine having some kind of a remote control that activates the magnetic field, and you basically press a button, and suddenly it makes you super happy inside. That's because your body starts to produce a lot of oxytocin or some other hormone that just makes you so happy. Which is why a lot of scientists from around the planet suddenly took interest in the study and started to discover some things that just kind of didn't add up. Because having this magical magnetically controlled switch that could physically turn on specific genes inside a living organism sounded just a little bit too good to be true. But I guess let's discuss the study first before discussing some of the rebuttals. And so according to the researchers, they used the very specific electromagnetic signal of 4 kHz pulsing at 60 Hz, or basically 60 times per second. And here they realized that the signal interacted with a protein referred to as cytochrome B5, a protein that causes calcium ions to move back and forth inside the cell every 50 seconds. And according to the report, the oscillation was the key in order to turn on the gene referred to as LGR4. Okay, there's a lot of technical jargon here, but in a nutshell, they were able to use very specific electromagnetic emissions to activate a gene that controls serotonin in the brain. And they were then able to make mice a lot less depressed. Because in general, serotonin makes you very calm and somewhat happy. And well, if any of this were true, this would be a massive breakthrough, because it would mean we could turn on any gene we want, like for example the one that produces insulin or even growth factor, just by kind of waving around a magnetic device over a patient. Because according to the study, this would then activate this unusual calcium wave that would trigger the genes.